Hello, welcome to the show. You're a drama and movement therapist. Could you explain a bit about yourself and what it means?
Hello, Akash. Thank you for having me here.
Pleasure is mine.
I am a drama and movement therapy trainee. I've just finished my training, my MA in drama and movement therapy. Um, I'm also a psychologist. I've done MA in psychology and also my bachelor's from India, and I'm currently finishing this course here in London. Um, I have had worked as an expressive arts therapy practitioner in one of the hospitals in Delhi before for approximately 2 years, and have an experience of using expressive arts therapy, drama therapy, and dance movement therapy with a variety of population. So what is drama therapy and movement therapy? I think we work a lot with mind body connection. First of all, it is a psychotherapy. So it is not a drama class, it is not a dance class. It is a form of psychotherapy that engages the body in a creative manner. So we might be using activities from movement or from drama. Um, and that is a part of psychotherapy. There is an intention of using it. It is not a distraction. It is not something that we are just doing for making somebody happy. The idea is we're reaching a particular goal. We might be working with different symptoms that the client or the service user might come in with. They want to work with a specific issue. And with that, we use creative processes.
Right.
So, yeah.
Okay, so, is movement and drama therapy intended only for the alleviation of maladaptive symptoms, or does it go towards the root cause also?
So, like any psychotherapy, there are different schools of thought within this. So, you might have heard of humanistic school of thought, existential school of thought, CBT, REBT, psychoanalysis, all of that, right? So, if somebody is coming with certain specific problem, um, every school of thought defines it in its own way, looks at its
Right.
causes in its own way, right? So it actually is on the problem that the client is bringing, what is the issue that they're dealing with, and which school of thought better understands it or can be used here. Also, it depends on who the therapist is and what school of thought does the therapist indulge in. So, to say what is the root cause, well, a lot of different things have different root causes, and I don't want to say that we guarantee that we will work on root causes. There's no guarantee of those things. But yes, the idea is that symptoms, we go beyond just the symptoms and we will work with the body as well. So, for example, if somebody has fever, किसी को बुखार है, तो often bukhar or fever is seen as a symptom of another problem which is happening in the body of the person, right? It is not the problem itself. So, similarly, when a client or a service user is coming to us, their symptoms might be not the problem itself, but there might be a problem underlying it, which might be connecting a lot of different things. So, working with that.
So, my next question is, how important is it for a human being to express their emotions in a healthy manner?
First of all, we are human beings. So it is important for us to express our emotions. A lot of problems happen at that level itself, that we are unable to express them. When we are unable to express them, they get piled up inside us. And then one day, like a volcano, everything will burst. And we feel we are not in control of it. We feel it might come as anger, it might come as irritation. And relapse, it can be a relapse. Relapse would be probably a clinical issue, right? So if we look at a spectrum of illness and wellness, there are certain people who have a particular diagnosis, who have particular illnesses, right? So we call them clinical population. Then there are some people who don't meet all the criteria of the particular illness said, but they meet a few of those. So we call them subclinical population.
Right.
And then we have this whole other population who might be very functional, they look very well, but there are a lot of things that are going underneath, right? So for each one of them, unexpressed emotions can work in a different manner.
Mhm.
For some, it
Right.
can look like, it can erupt like an illness. For some, it can erupt like day-to-day small quarrels, problems. For example, somebody has, like किसी ने just कुछ कहा और आपका बहुत ज़्यादा ही, you're just getting suddenly very angry about something. So those things also come because of unexpressed emotions. Once you start expressing your emotions, then comes the topic of healthy expression or unhealthy expression of emotions. So within that, I believe if we are able to cater to the first step itself, if we are able to express authentically, vulnerably, at least to our own self, what we are feeling, it is likely to move into a healthy expression of emotion in any
And
situation.
how does drama and movement therapy help in the healthy expression of emotions?
I'll take an example of a baby here.
Sure.
So if you think the language that we are talking right now in our is a language that you and I have learned, right? If we were living in a different part of the world, if we were living in, say, Russia, we probably might be talking in Russian, right? It's an acquired language. It's something that we learn because of probably geographical area or our cultural history, etc. But when a child is born, it is born with a certain language. The child moves, okay? The child is moving, the child is running, the child can smile. The child might not understand language, but can respond to you. The child makes different sounds. When the child is crying, there are different kinds of sounds which tell you different kind of emotions for the child as well. So even before we learn a language, we already have language of sounds, of movement, of colors, of running around in the house, of just moving our legs, our knees, or just fidgeting. These are all expressions of emotions that we are born with. So when we are using drama therapy or dance movement therapy, we are just going back to these emotions, if need be, when the need is, of playing, of moving around, of using sounds, of using colors, and seeing how we can express with those creative outlets.
So it helps in releasing your inhibitions also.
Well, you can't, not saying can't, but it's easier to censor verbal language. So just right now, I censored 2 sentences before I actually spoke my sentence, right? So we have more control over this language because we learn this language and we learn everything in this world through this language. Movement or any sort of play, etc., is so embedded in us and who we are that we would want to express in it, or there comes a need that we express a lot without knowing how much we are expressing. Even a child is playing a game. If you observe a child how they're playing with their toys, you will observe so much that is happening with them, so much that they might be going through. They might start relating with that hero that they're making a story of. They might, even the stories that we hear as children, be it fairy tales, be it folk tales, be it the stories that our grandmothers and mothers have told us when we were about to go to sleep. There are some stories that we love. And in those stories, there might be a character or there might be a situation that we are very attracted towards. It says something about us. And that's just the paradigm we work with.
Right. Okay, so like movement and dance inevitably work on your fitness, right? So is there a correlation with high self-esteem after taking a therapy session of drama or movement?
If you're okay, so one thing is about fitness. Yes, for sure. As I said, we work with the mind-body connection. So it can be related to fitness, but it might not look like a gym fitness for sure. It is a lot to do with body's coordination as well. It is a lot to do with hand-eye movements or how a person is walking and giving them different experiences, different situations, and for them to just reflect on their body and how it's working. So it is to develop a better relationship with the body, if I may say so. And if fitness happens in the process of it, can happen. If a person chooses to move throughout the whole session and that's how they want to express for that particular session, not saying that that's how every session looks like, but in a particular session, if a client wants to move for say 30 minutes, 40 minutes, likely at the end of it, there might be a response in the body. It's feeling better, it's feeling fitter. So there is a physical aspect attached to it. There is definitely a lot of movement therapy and drama therapy is also used as supplementary to medical issues. So if a person is for example going through different medical issues, physical health related issues, then dance movement therapy can also work with that, or drama therapy can work. It can supplement that. It's a supplement for the person then.
So how do you determine that person is getting better? Like, is there a correlation that if a person is more active, more using more of his energy, that he's getting better?
Not really. It's not about if they're. It's more about how the person is feeling, right? So they will automatically in the end tell you if we have met the goal. The goal might not be about. The goal is I want to sleep better, for example, right? Or the goal is I'm feeling very hopeless about my life, and I'm feeling it's not worth living. It's very, very difficult. Or it can be about, I feel very angry and frustrated at the smallest of things right now. I don't know how to deal with it. We use movement and drama as the means of reaching that goal, of making their mental health and overall well being better, right? The idea is not how much they're moving or how much they're dancing. That is not to do with our goal. Although the idea in movement therapy might be, for example, a client is always sitting like this, very closed body, right? And by the end of the sessions, after a couple of sessions, I will see them moving. I will see their body language a little more open, using their hands a lot more. It says something about them. So I would reflect that back to them, that I see that from this, your body is looking like this. How do you feel about that? Is there something that you would want to say about it? So it's not about how much you move, but what is your relation with body and how is the body responding to the treatment?
Right. Makes sense. If someone wants to hire your services for drama and movement therapy, how can they contact?
They can contact me via my email ID, which I can provide you later.
Sure. Right. Okay. Like, suppose I'm a client. Could you walk me through how my session for drama and movement therapy?
So now for this, I think I would go back to the particular school of thought that I follow. Within drama and movement therapy, my school of thought that I've been trained in is Sesame training. And it's more of analytical psychology, more of Carl Jung's theory that we use. And so there is a lot of emphasis on unconscious and how that works within the body. So our session might be structured in that particular way, wherein we start with a focus, we start with bringing the client here and now, because it becomes very difficult if the client is dealing with so many things. We live in a very fast-paced life. So first of all, to arrive to a therapy session and make your full body, brain, mind come to that session is very important. So bringing the focus of the client to the session, warming up their mind, warming up their bodies to probably what is going to happen, what the session is going to be like. Of course, there's a space for them checking in and how they're doing, how their week was, and if there is something that they want to bring in this particular session, want to work on. Then we move towards bridging in. Then we have a particular specific intervention which we feel might help them in this particular process. So there's a way of bringing them to that therapeutic process, a way of moving from that intervention. Then especially a grounding is properly done so that they feel more present, they can live their daily life in a more effective manner. And because coming to a therapy session can be very, very daunting, very intimidating for a lot of people. How therapy is more about crying and feeling bad and feeling sad in the session, not so much about somebody entertaining them. So grounding is very important, wherein whatever has been done in the session or explored by them has been given a proper container, and they feel okay to leave that in the session and move on into their daily life. So yeah, it can there can be a lot of different activities which are used for different things. There can be activities for bringing somebody's focus. We sometimes do use some props. We can use props like a softball. We have big, cloth, parachute. So it's when you enter a session, you might see a lot of eye-catchy things, which would make you like, okay, what is that? I want to explore that. Or what is that? We might have some creative things. We might have some cards where a service user can look at different cards, different pictures, and say, okay, I feel like this picture today. I feel like this rosebud in a desert.
Sort of an assessment.
That's a self-assessment for them as well. Like, this is where you are right now. So maybe when they're about to leave, okay, again, do you want to check in? Where do you feel you are right now? And they can check in for themselves. Right. So I probably feel like a beach, sitting on this person who's sitting on the beach right now, maybe. So that's an assessment for them as well, and it's definitely something for us, because in our training we look at a lot of symbolism. We look at, okay, what are these different images in it, and what do they mean for the client? What do they mean culturally? What is the so what is the meaning of this symbol?
Do you believe that expressive art therapies like dance therapy, movement therapy, can they be mutually exclusive, or should they be integrated with a traditional sort of therapy system?
Now that's a very tricky question. I don't know what you mean by integrated, because not every session I'm standing up and doing something creative. Sometimes the clients feel like sitting and just talking through something very specific that they've brought. And we might end up sitting and talking throughout the whole session. And it still follows a session plan. It still follows, for example, analytical psychology. I would still be using all of those things. So if somebody is trained in analytical psychology, or they are trained in a specific school of thought, so are we. We are trained in the same school of thought, along with probably some creative medium that can be used in that school of thought. Right. So maybe for a person, for traditional therapies, I am assuming traditional therapies means talk therapy. It means CBT. It means sitting down and talking to somebody. Right. And a lot of psychologists today, a lot of psychotherapists today they are still using creative mediums within their therapy. A lot of them end up saying, okay, can you draw a picture of this? Can you draw your anxiety? They can end up doing that. We all can use creativity. How much creativity is used, and if we know what is the meaning behind that creativity, or how we are using it in our session, can differentiate between our work. And that is okay. I mean, yeah, creativity can be borrowed by anybody. And I think it helps everybody to, whenever words are not enough. So, yeah.
So, if we come to the subject of drama therapy, do you think that role playing under proper clinical guidance could help in building assertiveness?
So, role playing is a very specific thing within the drama therapy. Drama therapy can use a lot of different things apart from role playing as well. Drama therapy is to do with a lot more of play and improv theater, or or stories. There can be different things that they bring in. Role play is a very specific thing. There can be role plays, there may not be role plays. It depends on what we're working on in that session. And to talk about assertiveness training, well, I think using any sort of creative medium, or being in any sort of therapy itself, when you receive some sort of validation for what you're going through, some sort of validation for your emotions or your situation, it anyway helps in building a self-confidence. So self-confidence, I believe, is anyway a byproduct of therapy. You feel a lot more confident about who you are, how you respond to people, what you're feeling, and knowing that what you're feeling is all right. And about assertiveness training is a lot more to do with also your boundaries, how you're negotiating with others, how you're talking about your emotions, all of that. So if our goal, if a client is bringing that they want to work on assertiveness training, or the therapist feels that assertiveness training might be helpful, and we might be moving towards that, then we can make a session specifically for assertiveness training. But having said that, it's not just one session that within one session you would be trained in assertiveness. It takes a longer time.
I think the question that confuses a lot of people is that why do they need drama therapy if they can go to the language or dance therapy if they can go to a dance class? And explain.
Yeah. So I would like to differentiate between three things here. One is a dance class or a drama class or a theater class. Then using dance or drama therapeutically, and then drama therapy and dance movement therapy. Right? There are three different things. Dance class is anybody going, learning any sort of dance. So your aim is to learn a particular dance or a particular piece of drama. Right? That is your aim. If that is the aim, that is your class. Everything will be based on that, the product that you need to go through, right? So the product is very important here. Be it the choreographed piece that you learn, that you perform for the audience, or the theater piece that you perform for the audience. That is important. Using dance or drama therapeutically would mean the product is important, but the process of it is a little more conscious, is a little more it's something that takes care of your well-being as well, right? So we're using drama and dance therapeutically. we're use the end product is important and the process is important, right? And then is your drama therapy or dance movement therapy. That would probably specifically mean the process is important. We don't really care about the product. The product may not be there. The product is the well-being of the client. That's it. There may not be any dance choreography in the end. There likely is not. There may not be any drama thing that comes in the end. We are not preparing for something. There is no preparation. The only preparation we have is preparing for your mental well-being.
So, in other words,
Right.
instead of learning the traditional dramatic or dance skills, it teaches you effective coping skills.
Yes, effective coping skills, how to deal with life. We can actually, sometimes because you said coping skills, sometimes people learn coping skills and they feel like they want to practice that in the therapy sessions first. They want to experiment that in the therapy sessions. Then role plays can be used, where we use different ways of saying the same thing. Do you feel this was aggressive? Do you think this was assertive? Do you think this was authentic? So we can use role plays in different manners. But the process in drama therapy and dance movement therapy is a lot more important. It is basically a psychotherapy, which uses creative medium. Using drama or dance therapeutically, or going for a dance class or a drama class, is not psychotherapy. There is a difference between that. So it depends on why you want to go. I sometimes refer my clients to go for dance classes. That is a suggestion or an advice or a referral that I say along with, uh, say, the drama and movement therapy that they would be coming along for. And that is because I believe that a dance class, their bodies can move a lot more there. There can be something a lot more that they can receive from a dance class that they can't receive from a movement therapy session. Right. So it's important to know the strengths of everything, and more so to know the limitations of each of them.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel that expressive arts therapy is recommended for people who have maladaptive social adjustment problems, but not necessarily those who are suffering from mental disorders?
I think it is for anybody and everybody. Like I initially said, that there is clinical population, subclinical, and people who are well, who are going through a lot of things. It is for everybody. I have used it with clinical population. I've used it people who have schizophrenia or personality disorders or any sort of neurosis, psychosis. People who are in the subclinical population, who might be showing depressive symptoms, who might be showing anxiety related symptoms, and even people who are very well functioning but they're going through a lot of things. So it can be used with a lot of people over a span of different symptoms, different disorders, etc.
Okay, so I think we should stop the recording here. It's been more than 30 minutes. Thanks a lot for coming to spreading on this.
You're most welcome, Akash. Thank you. It was great being here.
So, I'll pause it.